Hi, welcome back to the next part. In this part, it's still sort of post-war films. Most of them are more American-based in this part. I meant to put this one in the other part, but I totally forgot. This is set in France. It's a more European one, but after that, they're all more American. And that's kind of how I separated them. This one is set in France, like I said, and this woman, played by Juliette Binoche, Binoche? I don't know if that's how you say it. That might be totally wrong. Sets up a chocolate shop, and Johnny Depp's on the cover, but he's actually a much smaller part in it than I anticipated. I didn't watch this for years after it came out. I don't even know why now, because this was right up my street. It's just really cozy kind of film to watch. Like the chocolate that she makes, it's just such a nice film. It's got another kind of plot going on in the background, like the people in the town don't really like her initially or want her to set up this chocolate shop, but she kind of ends up winning a lot of them over, and she's got a bit of a talent for picking out the right kind of chocolate for her customers, and it's just a really nice drama based around something that I think most people like, which is chocolate. I really like that one. The next one I've got is Kill Your Darlings, which is about the poet Allen Ginsberg, is his name? I feel like... Yeah, Allen Ginsberg. And some other of his friends who were also... some of them are also writers around that time. And it's got a bit of a dark storyline besides that. I knew really nothing about him. I don't really know anything about poetry or poets. And it's probably obvious that I bought it because of Daniel Radcliffe initially, but I actually really like this one, and I looked up a lot more information after watching it because I found his story kind of interesting. And this guy, played by Dane DeHaan, was an interesting character. I don't know how close to the true story it is. I'm not sure of that, but it was an interesting one and a really good performance for Daniel Radcliffe, probably one of his better ones actually. The next one I've got is Doubt. This is based around a sort of church and the doubt of, kind of doubt in the truth. I think that's where the doubt comes from. The suspicions of possible abuse against a child by Meryl Streep's character, and Amy Adams, who's also in it. And I really like Philip Seymour Hoffman, who of course has died now, which is sad. I'd say this is one of his better films as well, but I've liked him in a lot of things. It's a shame that he's not around to make more films, to be honest. But this was a really good one. It was quite slow, and I didn't really know what to expect when I went in watching this one. I mainly got it because of its award nominations. I sometimes pick them up just because I think it's worth at least one watch to check it out if it's got a lot of attention. And at this stage, when I got this is probably the first year I ever did that, and this was really different, a really different kind of film for me. But I definitely think it made me watch a wider variety of films after this, because I actually really enjoyed it, even though it wasn't something I would have previously kind of picked up. The next one I've got is The Secret Life of Bees. This has got Dakota Fanning in it, Queen Latifah, who I'm a big fan of, Jennifer Hudson, Alicia Keys, lots of great people in this. It's basically about, she's the main character, Dakota Fanning plays the main character, and her mum's died and her dad's quite abusive, but she's looked after by, I think she was the housekeeper, or is it just a friend? Well, basically, Jennifer Hudson plays somebody who has been looking after this young girl, and she takes her to see these people who keep bees, basically. That's kind of where the name comes from. There's kind of a whole big storyline behind it, but it doesn't really say about that on the back, so I won't want to give the main storyline away, but that's kind of how it starts. And she kind of forms a friendship with these people that she meets. This was a really good one, actually. Something that I kind of found and not really know anything about it. I'd never heard of it before I sort of found it. Brooklyn with Saoirse Ronan, who is definitely one of my favourite actresses at the moment. In fact, I've always liked her since she was young. I liked a lot of her films maybe that aren't as popular. but yeah, she's really good, and it's got Julie Walters in, who's great, Jim Broadbent, Donald Gleeson, and this is basically about Saoirse Ronan's character. I can't remember her name. Is it Eilis? Eilis? I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's a while since I watched this. I mean, not that long because it didn't come out that long ago, but basically her moving to New York from Ireland and how that kind of changed her life and how different it is, and sort of how she adapts to life in another country. And I think the cast were great in this, and although the plot is quite a simple one, there's nothing major going on in the plot, I just found this one really interesting. Like, I couldn't take my eyes off it, really. It was one of those ones that's definitely driven by the characters and the script. I mean, there is obviously a bit of a plot going behind it, and there's some things that happen to do with the family and things, but I just enjoyed watching the characters, particularly Saoirse Ronan's character, and so I'd highly recommend that one. And the next one is Of Mice and Men, which I'm ashamed to say I actually only watched about 6 months ago for the first time ever. I think this is another one that, if you've read the book, which this book, unlike Little Women, this is a book that is read in schools in this country, but I didn't read it, I didn't do it for my GCSE, so I think it just depends if you do this or not. I did a different book, and so I'd never really been forced to watch this for that reason, but I had heard that it was really good, and I was kind of jealous of people that did this because I'd heard it was a really good book to study, and mine was just okay. And so I finally picked this up last year, and I like John Malkovich, so that was one of the reasons as well that I thought, right, I've got to pick it up. And this was amazing, and I can't believe I left it so long to watch it, and most people have probably seen this, and the ending is just heartbreaking. I don't think I've ever cried as much as I cried at the end of this. In fact, I can't talk about it without crying. But this is really good, but I'm sure I don't have to tell anybody that. I think most people have probably seen that. The next one is Mona Lisa Smile, which is based around Julia Roberts being I think she's a history professor at this college or university. I assume a college because it's in America, so it'll be a college, won't it? I think it's it says that 1953, and kind of the girls that she teaches, and she's got more to offer than maybe just history, teaching them. And I really liked this one. I don't know how popular this one is, but I have honestly never heard anyone mention this, and I absolutely loved this when I saw it. But it is quite a while ago that I saw it, so I think I need to watch it again. But it's got a really great cast: Maggie Gyllenhaal, like I said, Julia Roberts, Kirsten Dunst, who is one of my favourites, Julia Stiles, and it just had a really uplifting kind of storyline. I've heard of the only time I mentioned it, I heard someone compare it to Dead Poets Society, which I haven't seen. Ashamedly, I haven't seen that. A little bit more of maybe a girlier version of that kind of thing. She kind of uplifts these women and teaches them, something outside of what she's there to teach them, sort of thing. Like I say, I haven't seen Dead Poets Society, so I can't say for sure, but I have heard, the one occasion I heard someone mention it, they were comparing it to that, so I need to check Dead Poets Society out, clearly. The next one I've got is The Help, which is kind of based around a group of women and this kind of secret writing project that they're doing. It's got Emma Stone. It's set in the 1960s in the South, in America, and it's kind of like an empowering kind of story. And I can't say much more than that really. But the writing, Emma Stone's character is writing something, and it's got a lot of the kind of racism elements and things. And I think this was really well done, actually. It's got kind of a humorous side to it. It's got a serious side, and it's about a serious kind of topic, but it's also done with some humour. I kind of like the way this was done. This was, again, one that I picked up based on a lot of award nominations and things, and I liked that one. I think that's one of my favourite Emma Stone films. Revolutionary Road. This wasn't great, actually. I, of course, picked this up because Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet are in it together. I like both of them, and of course, this is the only time they've ever worked together since Titanic. And it was just okay. It was nice kind of to see them together, but the plot was just average. It's not very memorable, to be honest. I can only remember bits and bobs about it. I think it's set in the 60s, if I can remember rightly, and kind of about their life as a married couple, the ups and downs of that. It was just okay, and it was kind of, like I say, it was nice to see them together, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. The next one I've got is Changeling, which has got Angelina Jolie in. I'm not really a big fan of Angelina Jolie, to be honest, but there's a few films that I really like her in. This and Girl Interrupted. I really like her in those, but I don't normally pick up films if she's in them unless it's something I really want to see. But I'm glad I picked this one up. This was actually really good. She loses her son goes missing. This is based on a true story, by the way, so it's I was quite shocked when I realised it was based on a true story. Son goes missing, and then they return her son to her. They say they found him and they return him to her, but that's not her son. I think it's like 5 or 6 months later, and she keeps telling them that's not her son, and they kind of want to just shut her up, basically, and for her to accept that this is her son, but she won't accept it, obviously, because she knows her son is still missing. And this was actually really, really good and shocking, as I said, because it is based on a true story, and I was really surprised, because I don't know how I didn't notice. It says a true story in the front, but I just kind of put it in one day and didn't take that much notice of it, and at the end it said about it, and I was really surprised that it was actually a true story, because it was awful, really. The next one I've got is Florence Foster Jenkins. I really liked this one. I like Meryl Streep and I like Hugh Jackman. I always want to call him Hugh Jackman. Hugh Grant. This was one I didn't pick up for a while because it just didn't look like something I'd be interested in, despite really liking the cast and watching the majority of their films. But I'm glad I did, actually, because it was actually really funny, really different to what I expected. It's based on a true story. Meryl Streep plays Florence Foster Jenkins and Hugh Grant plays her husband, and she basically wants to be a famous singer and hold concerts and things, but the only problem is she can't really sing. She's terrible, but her husband's so sweet and helps her to kind of achieve her dream, and she organises this big concert, and it's actually really funny, and you end up just actually really enjoying her performances even though she's terrible at singing. And I'd need to look up if there's any like real clips or anything of it, or more information about the woman. I never actually did, after the film, look up more information about her, and I should have done, because I just thought this was so great. She was such a great character, and it didn't matter that she couldn't sing. I would have bought tickets to go and see her anyway. And I've put these in because I mentioned them earlier, and I found them downstairs and I'm putting them back in my shelf up here. So these are part of the sort of family period ones, and it's The Secret Garden and Back to the Secret Garden. This is a classic. I don't normally pick up cheap kind of sequels. Actually, this is not really a cheap sequel. It's got a good cast, and it's pretty well made, actually. But I watched a trailer of it, and it just looked like a nice film to watch on a kind of rainy day, and it really was. It was actually good. I loved sort of the house and the garden that they used in it, and it was a nice kind of relaxing film to watch, so I've kept it in my collection, so they're going on the shelf with the family ones. So I'll leave it there for this part, and the next part will have quite a lot in it, but it's TV series, so there's only a few series, but several boxes of each series, if you know what I mean. But I'll explain the next one, so next part should be the last one. Alright, thanks for watching, bye!